Second Oktoberfest this year. If you were one of the scattering of 100,000 people that weathered the crowd a few weeks ago on College Avenue in Appleton. Were you there? Was anybody there? There you go, you got one lone, two souls. Good, I wasn't there, even though I live in Appleton. But the pictures depict that Oktoberfest. It was a family event. I mean, there was husbands, wives, kids, there were grandparents, there were seniors. A family event in Appleton. This might be your third Oktoberfest, if you were fortunate enough to just get back from Germany, where the big one is. This year was held, by the way, September 17th to October 3rd. It's a 17-day event in Germany. Millions of people gather for that Oktoberfest. They drink approximately 8 million liters of beer. Did you hear that? Mo has that much downstairs right now today.
Don't touch it.
You could fill 3 Olympic-sized swimming pools with that amount of beer. Add to that, they ate a gazillion pounds of Schweinbraten, which is roast pork, Wurzel, which is sausages, and that isn't even half as good as the brats that we have downstairs waiting for you at 10:30. And of course, sauerkraut, and their sauerkraut's not as good as the stuff that you're going to eat downstairs at 10:30. They have acres and acres of tents, they have amusement things, they have games. It's a family event for 17 days in Germany. And today's a family event here at Peace Lutheran Church. So given the fact that we're talking about families, that's why I chose this gospel lesson today about families, because we know about families. We're part of families, all of us. We observe families. Some of us even see stuff writing around town that talks about families. You see decals that says, I have an honor student at Neenah High School. Or if the people really stretch, they say, I have an honor kindergarten student. Yeah, seriously. Or you see decals. A lot of minivans have these decals. Minivans are kind of the family vehicle, you know. They have they have these stick figures, you know. They have a father that looks kind of strong, and then the stick figure is of a petite woman that you figure that's the mother, you know, nice looking. And then you have like 3 little stick figures of children, and they have a dog, and then they might be a picket fence. Yeah, I mean, you know, it's like us that we've used in other sermons where all the women are strong, men are good looking, and all the children are above average here at Peace Lutheran Church. This is what we call a family, right? But we know it's not true, because that's not family. You know it's not. Real is a single mom who's maybe raising kids. Real is a family with teenage struggles. Real is a family with financial hardships. Real is a family with a senior who just lost their spouse and is struggling just with living. Real family has to do with families that are in the midst of all kinds of chaos. And that's us as people. I grew up in Brooklyn, New York. I've shared that before. I grew up in a 4-room apartment. Now, I didn't say, have to listen carefully, I didn't say 4 bedrooms, did I? I said a 4-room apartment. We had very little money. We had no car. And on my block, we call them blocks, where I lived, people fought, they yelled, kids were in trouble. The fathers often got drunk. We had more bars than churches. But everything seemed normal to me. This crazy kind of dysfunctional kind of families. The crazier thing was everybody went to church. And when you dawn upon that, why did everybody go to church every single Sunday? As I think back into those days, probably because we all needed, just like we did, we need forgiveness in these families we were in. I used the gospel lesson today about a family. Jesus used it as a parable because it says that the Pharisees were ticked off because Jesus was eating with sinners and associating with them. So he says, let me tell you a little story. So he just starts out this little parable about this family, and there's a younger kid. It's an easy parable. The younger kid says, I want my cash now, which was unheard of, by the way. One didn't do that. But the father gives the cash to the kid. He goes out on wine, women, and song down to Chicago. He spends it all. He's down there. He's starving to death. It's a simple story. He works in a soup kitchen or whatever. He says, hey, what am I doing? Some self-evaluation was in order. He says, you know, the stuff that works for my father, they have more stuff than I have. I got nothing. What am I, crazy? I think I'll go home and apologize. He even practices his apology. Starts home. Maybe took a Greyhound bus. I don't know. Before he could get home, his father sees him. Before he could give his practice speech, which was really not contrition at all, it was all baloney. I was going to say something about politics tonight in the debate, but I don't want to go there. Okay. Before he gives this practice contrition speech, his father greets him and says, my goodness, you're home. I'm overjoyed. Please, let's have a party. And puts a robe on him and feet on his feet and a ring on his finger and says, let's celebrate because God has been so good that brought you home safe and sound. What's it all about, Alfie? What's this have to do with us, and what's it have to do with our families? You know, we're a family sitting here today. That's where we are. We're this one big, happy, dysfunctional family at Peace Lutheran Church. We are. And it would be great if we're a family that never argues or disagrees or agrees on everything, but that's hardly the case. We don't, you know. We don't agree on politics. We don't agree on homosexuality. We don't agree on whether the Vikings play dirty. We don't actually agree whether lutefisk is a real food group. We don't. How many people sitting here agree on it? We don't. And if we had decals for this congregation and we had a big van that said Peace Lutheran Church, which you'd see a bunch of screaming kids and some laughing senior citizens and some teenagers washing cars and maybe a little stick figure of a pastor sounding asleep. So what is it? What is it that the parable speaks of that also speaks to Peace Lutheran Church? What is it? Peter said, Jesus, how many times should I forgive that idiot? He didn't use idiot, but 7 times? Should I forgive him 7 times, Jesus? And Jesus said, no, 70 times 7. The son goofed up. The son made a mistake. And the father welcomed him home and forgave him. We are a family of saints and sinners that we'll talk about in November. And all that it speaks to us is that we believe in a God through Jesus Christ who forgives us always. We who are dysfunctional family turn our back on Jesus, and he says, welcome home. We're a family that makes some mistakes during the week, and we come in here to this beautiful place, and God says, you are forgiven. I welcome you home. This is the God who calls us to love one another with the same kind of love we show for each other, to forgive one another, to care for another in this wonderful family that we have. Was the Father right to forgive the Son? Of course. Is God right to forgive us? Of course. Happy Oktoberfest to this wonderful family of Peace Lutheran Church. Amen. We sing a hymn. You know this, so this time you're going to sing along. And we have mics out.